Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, it's not a secret. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
just whatever you want to share. Honestly, you don't have to share more than you feel comfortable with.
Okay. Are you recording?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Prior to me moving to Korea, I had received a promise from God. And the promise from God was basically about my future. And it was tied to a specific person. Basically, like, I had believed that the Lord had promised someone to be my husband. It wasn't just that he was promising me like this person that I would marry, but it was like everything that came. Basically like a life of ministry. While I was in Korea, I was already kind of struggling spiritually, like in a very dry place. It was really hard for me to hear from the Lord. It was really hard for me to like feel his presence. I didn't want to read the Bible. I didn't want to pray. Basically, I was just going to church just to survive. Like, I was just getting by off of going to church, but there was really no desire, like deep desire in my heart. And while I was in Korea, this person that I believed was so tied to my destiny actually ended up getting married. And so that for me was so devastating on so many accounts, not just because I believed that I would marry this person, but also because I felt like, number one, God, how can I trust you? God, I trusted you with my heart. I trusted you with my future. I trusted you. Like, I feel so embarrassed. I feel like you have abandoned me. I feel so forsaken. Like, I felt like I had lost that sense of trust in the Lord. And then also too, I felt like I had lost like the capacity to dream for something better for my life. And because that was taken from me, because I felt like I couldn't trust the Lord, I felt like I couldn't trust any of his promises that he had spoken over my life. I felt like I couldn't trust any of the desires that I had. If I misunderstood what you've spoken to me, like, how can I ever trust anything else that I heard you say to me? Like, I just felt like, okay, God, like, this is it. Like, I'm okay with just like, I don't know if I can trust you anymore. I don't know if I want to anymore. And so, like, I'm okay with just living a life that is less than what I had hoped for. A couple weeks before I moved back to America, I heard the Lord say to me, like, I'm about to restore everything that you felt like you had lost in those years that you were in the wilderness. I'm about to restore all of that. And so I came back to America, and then that's when I first started going to Living Hope. And I remember just feeling like, from the first service, like, this is what I've been wanting, like the presence of God. I don't know why I couldn't sense him, I couldn't feel him the way that I so wanted to before, but when I came to Living Hope, I felt the presence of God, I felt the power of God, and so I decided to stay. One Sunday when Pastor Sunny came to speak at Soda, she came and she spoke about the Holy Spirit. And I remember that Sunday being like, something was different about this Sunday. Like, there was, it wasn't an ordinary Sunday. Like, there was just something special about it. And I felt like it was almost like, this is a day that was ordained by the Lord, like, for me. Like, he wanted to encounter me. He wanted to meet me. And so when she had the altar call, I went up, and then I was just waiting for the Lord. There wasn't really much going on. I was just waiting. I just knew I had to be at that altar. And then Pastor Sunny came up and she laid her hands on me. She prayed for me. And what she prayed, I felt like for one of the first times in my life, like, she was able to see the desires that I had. She was able to see like the dreams that I had had, and she called it out. And she said that, like, what she saw was her own fire standing in front of a bigger fire, and what the fire was like the fire of revival. As soon as she spoke those words over me, like, I just dropped to the floor, and I, like, the power and the presence, the weighty presence of God was so heavy. Like, I can't even describe. At that moment, like, I didn't care who was around me. I didn't care what was going on. It's one of those Sundays that, like, I'll never forget, that marked me. This was the Sunday that I encountered God. And from that Sunday on, opened the door to this new season of my life where like little by little, God was breathing life into dead dreams, and he was breathing life into dead hopes and dead desires, things that I had put to rest, things that I had thought were just out of the scope of possibility for me, and he was bringing those things back to life. And it was at that moment, like in that season, where God said, like, I have chosen you, I have anointed you, I have called you. And finally, like after 30 some years of my life, like I came to a place where I finally responded yes to him. And so from that season on, it's just been like one by one, little by little, I've just been living in like the manifestation of my dreams becoming actually a reality. So yeah, I feel like throughout my time at Living Hope, like I really got to see like my dreams coming to life and my dreams actually becoming a reality, and me walking for real in my destiny. And so that's my story. That's it.
That's really good.
That's really good.
That was really good.